Walter, roll that one more time. Keep an eye now, as Walter puts this up again, keep an eye on the subtitles. The Pope has given priests approval to bless same-sex unions. Unions. You see that? And that, dear friends, is the takeaway that I believe they wanted to have all along. That's the message that's gotten out there. Nobody's going to parse this. Nobody's going to say, well, was it individuals, or was it couples, or was it unions, or was it... They don't care. All they know is that Francis, the Pope, has given up on the whole idea that there are sins that call to heaven for vengeance, and they've always been considered sins against God and nature. He's like, oh, I just want to bless those guys. Okay, so it's over then, the world says, looking at Francis. And then Francis can just let his little Jesuit Renfield take it from there.
Yeah, sure. So we're able to bless same-sex couples, but it can't look like a marriage. It can't look like we're doing a wedding where we're in liturgical vestments and they're exchanging vows and things like that. So it's a little more informal. It's just, asking God to bless the couple, but not a rite,
There's a lot of feelings on both sides of this issue here. Conservative Catholics are pushing back. What's your message to them?
My message is really to try to get to know LGBTQ Catholics, try to get to know couples and see why they would need God's help, right? And get to know them as friends. I think part of the sort of pushback is a misunderstanding of their place in the church and really not knowing them well. I think when we get to know people, we see them as human beings, as not as categories and stereotypes.
Come on, Father Jimmy. I know you're a Jesuit, but now you're being intentionally obtuse, and you know you are. We already, as Catholics, love the sinner. That's not the point, and you know it. It's the sin we're a little worried about here. You remember sin, don't you, Father, when you were a child? Maybe you've seen pictures. If the sin were, let's say, just to make it easier for you, Father, if the sin were pedophilia, would we still just need to sort of get to know the pedophiles a little bit better to appreciate and discover their place in the church?
Get to know them as friends.
FIDUCIA Supplicans has nothing whatsoever to do with compassion for homosexuals. That's what everybody's saying. Well, it's just pastoral concern. No. It has nothing to do with pastoral concern for those living that lifestyle. Think about it. Those folks have been welcomed in Catholic churches for 40 years. They're gay masses. You got Catholic seminarians who are obviously gay. They're being recruited. Cantors, deacons, priests come out as gay and absolutely have no repercussions at all.
I've been carrying a heavy burden.
Father Greg came out to his congregation in this Milwaukee suburb about 3 years ago at age 51.
I am a gay priest and a celibate priest.
This is not about some gay guy scoring a blessing on a street corner because he's worried that he might get hit by a car or something, right? Nothing to do with that. This is all about, FIDUCIA Supplicans is all about DEI. No, I don't mean Dei, I don't mean God. I mean the Catholic Church bowing to the totalitarianism of diversity, equity, and inclusion.
This morning, the Council for Inclusive Capitalism announcing a new partnership between the Pope, the Vatican, and business leaders across the globe. It follows a meeting just over a year ago in which the Pope Francis called for the urgent need for an economic system that is fair, trustworthy, and capable of addressing the most profound challenges facing humanity. Executives are now committing to the Council's pledge to create a more sustainable and equitable system. They include Bank of America CEO Brian Moynihan, Johnson & Johnson CEO Alex Gorsky, CalPERS CEO Marcy Frost, and Merck CEO Ken Frazier. And joining us right now is the founder of that council, Lynn Forster de Rothschild. Lynn, good morning to you. You are the brainchild of this idea. What did you do to get the Vatican on board?
Well, the Vatican has asked for concrete actions to benefit all people. And in his encyclical in 2020, the Fratelli Tutti, he talked about reconciling the world of finance and the world of work. And that is what we are doing. Pope Francis doesn't point an accusatory finger at wealth creation and capitalism, but what he wants is for the creation of wealth to aid and not destroy the planet and the people on it. So we are responding to his call to reform capitalism, to make it inclusive, to make it sustainable. to make it trusted as well as dynamic. What we do believe is that it's important, if we're going to have true system change, for everyone to do what they can, to think about what the Holy Father said in the Laudato Si in 2015 when he asked us to listen to the cry of the earth and the cry of the poor. That's not a religious imperative, that's a moral imperative.
There you go, you get it? The builders of this new world order, they need the Catholic Church to get out of the way, and they're using Francis to wage a sort of holy war on Bible-based Christian morality world. I don't even want to hear this. Nobody wants to hear this, but that's what it is. The Bible-based Christian morality, it doesn't matter, it's rigid stuff, man. We're going to be pastoral, we're going to be inclusive. To follow that old Bible-based Christian morality is to what? Is to be exclusive. You got to repent before you can come this way, right? Well, the Church of Francis, the Church of Accompaniment, wants nothing to do with that because that sets up an exclusive, right? They are the elite. They're the only elite that will be tolerated on the face of the earth today. A spiritual, moral elite that follows God's law, nature's law, and the laws of the church? No, no way. And this is precisely why every other week, another Catholic cardinal who still has retained the faith feels induced in morally bound in conscience to come out and speak against what Francis is doing.
Because the homosexual couple means they are living in that continuous occasion of sin, of grievous sin. And then they say, this is something good, which may be improved, may mature, but this is nothing good. It's a serious sin. So that's a heresy.
And yet, if you question any of this, you are the problem. If you question any of this, you are the extremist. You're the rigid Neo-Pelagian extremist. You are the threat to the common good that the FBI needs to surveil. You're so divisive that the Pope has to shut down your Latin Mass center to make you stop. You're such a threat. You don't see persecution? Outright physical persecution coming on the end of this? I do. Because what they're saying is that you, as a faithful Catholic, are dangerous. You are a dangerous super spreader of fake news.
If you take a 2 years outlook, fake news is the biggest risk which we face at the moment.
And of course, by fake news, once again, Klaus Schwab means truth. He means the truth. These lunatics are at war, whether anybody wants to admit this or not. I think it's going to become very evident as we move on to this election year that something big is going to come. I don't know if it's going to be war with Russia or whatever it is, but they've already declared war on God and on man and on family and on innocence and everything else. So they're at war. This is war. And as the old expression goes, the first casualty of war is truth. More specifically, the love of truth, as the original article in the Idler magazine.